Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to part 2 of Let's Play LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, where all your answers are about to be excuse me. All your questions are about to be answered. No, Obi-Wan isn't going to get an appropriate haircut just yet. And no, Qui-Gon Jinn will never lose his wisdom. Spoiler alert, I don't care. I just thought I might as well warn you. However, there is one question that I haven't not answered that will be answered in this video, and that is, will Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan manage to escape Naboo, the invasion of Naboo? And that question will be answered by the end of this level. So, yeah. So, this is Chapter 2, Invasion of Naboo. And to be honest, it's quite, as you can see, quite a green level. The graphics are pretty nice for an early PS3 game in this game. Forgot to mention, you know, it's basically, like I said in part 1, LEGO Star Wars 1 and 2 in HD. With some textures missing. I say textures, what I mean is, you know, some tiny little things missing. But since we don't have a gun character yet, we can't get this mini kit. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a hiccup there. Yeah, I've decided from now I'm probably going to call them mini kits because that's what I always call them. But, you know, if I call them canisters, forgive me. I lied to you guys, I'm a bad person. If that ever happens, so, yeah. But anyway, sorry, I'm just trying to focus on getting studs and not dying here, because one thing I forgot to mention in part 1, in the LEGO game, you have infinite lives, but the thing is, you see, when you die, you lose all your, well, like 4,000 studs, and if you have less than that, you lose all of them. Although you can pick them up back up again, you have to collect them within a certain amount of time before they all just disappear, so yeah. Although, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure why these LEGO studs are actually called LEGO studs, because wouldn't you think they'd be called LEGO coins? I don't know. But yeah, I remember when me and my brother were kids, we used to always call them coins. That's because we were so naive and stupid back then. And my god, I'm getting pummeled here. You could just freaking die, I would appreciate it, droids. Mr. Droid, sir. As you saw there, my controller's on low battery, so apologies for this. I'm just gonna have to connect my controller charger. There we go. Sorry about that. But yeah, my controller's charging now, so we can focus on getting through this. I know this, you know, this part has got off to a slow start. That's mostly because I'm trying to collect studs, but I can't because of the bloody droids! But yeah, sorry about that little got carried away a little bit there. And as you saw there, for some reason I could only collect a few of my studs after, like half of my studs after I died there for some reason, which I don't know why, unless they disappeared on me without me noticing, but okay. Right, you guys are all knobheads, so you can just go die. I know I keep saying that, sorry, I've just had lunch, I'm being a bit repetitious, can't think of anything new and original to say myself, so I'm just being a douchebag and being the douchebag that I am and coming up with unoriginal phrases to say. Kind of like PewDiePie, even though he's pretty funny. Funnier than me. But yeah. Okay, I believe we do need a certain character to get up there. And you know what, we'll come back later because we're about to get him right now. But first we're going to get some studs. Alright, so alrighty, so when we come over here, should be getting a cutscene. I'm gonna collect these studs first. But yes, here we are. It's the infamous Jar Jar Binks. Oh, that little rascal. Seriously, Jar Jar Binks, he is like the character that pisses every Star Wars fan off, myself included. Anyway, so we're gonna switch to yeah, actually no, we're gonna go back here. For some more flowers. Let's get studs. But yeah, I think there's another way, as you saw right there. Another way of sorry. Another way of keeping droids out of your way is actually walking away from them. You know, if you just walk away, they'll just run off. But first, Jar Jar. You can do this in free play, but I don't want to do it now. There we are. 1 out of 10 minutes. And also, I just mean to say, I might be doing 2 levels in this part because both of them are really short. You know, the levels in this game, the Lego Star Wars 1 levels at least, i.e. the levels in episodes 1 to 3, are rather short, so yeah. Ah, crap. What's that? More studs. There we are. Nice one. Switch to Jar Jar right here. Because I hate to say it, but he is rather useful in this game, unlike the actual Star Wars films, where all he's useful for is annoying you. But yeah, in this game, Jar Jar is pretty fun to play with because he you can double jump with him, which is bloody awesome. I mean, at least they programmed him better in the Lego Star Wars games than they did in the films. Also, one difference I might as well point out between this game and the original Lego Star Wars 1. Whenever in the original Lego Star Wars 1, whenever you brought those platforms down, the controller would vibrate and, you know, they make a sound effect. In this game, no, they just come down. Where's the awesomeness and epicness in that, eh? Well, I know that you wouldn't really. Well, I probably wouldn't consider that, you know, what happened in Lego Star Wars to be epic, but at least it's something. Come on. This is why I think that Lego Star Wars 1 and 2 are better than Lego Star Wars: A Complete Saga, because once again, little things like that taken out of this game. It's just that was another classic example of what they should have kept to make this game better than it already was. But it's still a good game, don't get me wrong, I just don't think it's as good as the original version, so yeah. So there we are, 3 out of 10 mini-kits. Die. There we are. Moving on. Right along. Okay, force that down, we can get another mini-kit. I believe, in this level, I believe we can get either the same amount or, you know, one more than how many other mini kits we could get in Legos in Chapter 1. But yeah, so usually what happens in this run, if, you know, I miss a mini kit in a level and I have to go back and get it. I'll explain this more in free play, but call me a cheat, but I'm going to use a guide if I ever have to in this run. Like, say, if I just run out of, if I don't know, if I forget where the other mini kits are, you know, and unless I can remember them, if if I ever need to go back and find them when I get to free play, I'm gonna use a guide. Call me a cheat. I don't care. It's the easiest way through this. It's better than just screwing around, just replaying a level over and over for half an hour and screwing around looking for what I missed. But yeah, so I apologise in advance if I have to use a guide at all throughout this Let's Play. I'm gonna try and use one as, as less often as possible. But if I have, I'll only use a guide if I truly have to, in which I'm truly sorry. So yeah. And also, I apologise for the constant interruptions with my controller. The thing is, you see, my controller is charging, as I said at the beginning of the video, and therefore, it's for some reason my charge is really sensitive. Like, it happens all the time practically. Whenever I'm playing a game, my controller gets easily disconnected. If my controller, disconnects from the charger, even the tiniest bit, just the tiniest bit, my controller will say, "Oh, well, the controller cannot be read. Reconnect it." But yes, yeah, we can get 6 out of 10 minikits in this level, I believe. That's the maximum amount of minikits we can get, and the amount of studs we need for true Jedi is 44,000, as you saw there, so it's obviously over 9,000, but it's not over 90,000, so yeah. Ah, crap. Sorry, that was my fault. And now, because of that, I believe the sound effects are slightly delayed because of that little interruption there, which I apologise for once again. But it doesn't matter, because after this cutscene will be fine. There we are. Yeah, we're going to get 2 levels done in this part. So we've got Jar Jar Binks. Annoying in the movies, awesome in this game though. Well, I wouldn't say he's awesome. Well, double jumping with him is awesome, but he's not exactly the best character in the entire game. 6 out of 10. And we got 4 out of 160 gold bricks now. 2 levels complete, and 2 true Jedis complete. So yeah. If we haven't missed any true Jedis though, I will be getting them in free play, so you don't need to worry about that. Although I'll try to get them all. Episode 1. The Phantom Menace. Chapter 3. Escape from Naboo. The Gungan ruler Boss Nass has refused to help the people of Naboo. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi have left his underwater city for the royal palace in Theed. As Trade Federation battle droids seize control of the Naboo capital city, Queen Amidala and Captain Panaka, her loyal protector, are powerless to repel the invasion. There we are. There's your summary. Right to you then. Here we are. Queen Amidala has been kidnapped. Captured. Unfortunately. Oh, sorry about that. Just move the mic stand by accident. Picked it. This bit's hilarious. Oh, poor Obi-Wan. He doesn't even get any of the action. Just because of a silly lightsaber problem. Anyway. So. Here we are. Problem again. But yes, anyway. Escape from Naboo. That's the name of this level. By the way, your question earlier was answered. Yes, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan did survive the invasion of Naboo. But anyway, so Escape from Naboo. This level, for the first time in the entire game, we get to use characters with guns. And that is bloody awesome. because not only can, you know, guns destroy objects, but you're going to see in a minute that they can do something even more awesome, which is get you up to greater heights. So, yes. I just love using the guns in this game. They're just so fun to play with. But yeah. There we are. Not much else to say really. I'm just at the minute I'm going around trying to get studs, but you know, whilst I'm doing this, because you know the drill, you know how this goes. All this shenanigans. Basically, I'm gonna just, you know, tell you what my thoughts are on the Star Wars movies, since well, I've never given my opinion on them before, and I thought I might as well give my opinion on them now. Okay, so Episode 4, A New Hope. Obviously, it's probably a great movie, but it's my least favourite actually out of all the original trilogy. But it's still not bad. It's still pretty awesome. You know, it was the original. Obviously, in my opinion, it actually has the weakest lightsaber battle, which is between Qui-Gon... Oh, sorry, no. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. Which, to be honest, that was... It was good for the time, because it was the original. But, you know, as the series went on, as it progressed and evolved, you could see that, you know, that had been incredibly dated by today's standards. Although it still looks epic, it's just there are better lightsaber battles. Okay, so then we move on to my favourite Star Wars movie, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, which, as I just said, it's my favourite Star Wars movie. Practically everything about that movie makes a perfect Star Wars film, you know. Let's see. Luke getting trained on Dagobah was a pretty cool scene, although it did kind of drag, to be honest. The lightsaber fight between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker was one of my favourites. It's probably my second favourite lightsaber battle in the entire Star Wars series, but not quite my favourite. My favourite, we're going to get to later on whenever I get to one of the other Star Wars films. But yes, as you saw there, what I was talking about was, yeah, your gun can propel you up to great heights. Although, to be honest, for some reason, they kept the sound effects from Lego Star Wars 2, where, you know, it's basically just shoots you up. Whereas in Lego Star Wars 1, the sound effect was different, which was like, gun. It actually sounds better in my opinion, but that's just a nitpick again. But yeah. So anyway, going back to the Star Wars films. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, in my opinion. That was a great film. Not quite as good as The Empire Strikes Back, but it was better than A New Hope, in my opinion. My second favourite of all the Star Wars films, with A New Hope being my third. It was a very good film. And then we move on to the one we're on now, and this is where many people, you know, start to say the Star Wars series start going downhill, and, you know, George Lucas... Excuse my language here, I'm going to try not to use this kind of language again. Viewer discretion is advised. George Lucas apparently, quote-unquote, ass-raped their childhoods, which, you know, I don't think he did that. I don't think he did that. But yes, anyway. I thought the prequel trilogy was alright. So, anyway, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which is the one we're playing now. It was alright. It's probably my least favourite out of all the Star Wars films, but it wasn't bad. You know, I loved the beginning of the movie, you know, how it was like really fast paced, although Jar Jar Binks pissed me and pretty much every other Star Wars fan off. And if you're a Star Wars fan and you like Jar Jar Binks, I only have one question for you. Why? Because he's bloody annoying. But anyway, Phantom Menace, not a bad film, you know. Obviously, a lot of the fans were let down by it because it, you know, it could have been better. And but you just have to accept the fact, I think, that the prequels are never going to be as good as the originals. But, you know, Still grossed a massive amount at the box office, which was pretty awesome. And then Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, in my opinion. Actually, that was in my opinion, was actually the best of the prequels. I know a lot of people thought it was the weakest because of, you know, Hayden Christensen's acting, which, you know, it's not the best I've seen in the world. It can get pretty bad at times, you know, like laughably dying, embarrassingly bad. But it's nothing, you know, Oscar worthy, but it's not unbearable to watch. You know, I've seen worse acting. Twilight. But yeah, I'd rather watch Hayden Christensen act as Anakin Skywalker than seeing Robert Pattinson act as Edward the vampire, because he gives no motivation to his role whatsoever, which I can understand because he hates Twilight, but still, they could have at least tried to make the films as good as crap of a concept as they were. But anyway, so yeah, Attack of the Clones was my favourite, mostly because it was definitely, of the prequels that is, it's not my favourite Star Wars movie of all time. Obviously the original trilogy is better than that, but it's actually my favourite out of all the prequels. Mostly because well, it was, it was entertaining enough. It had a lot of insanity a lot of personality to it, which mostly consisted of pedomania, I guess you could say, because of all the they had younglings training, which I thought was yeah, we can't do this until later because we need a Jedi character. But anyway, as I was saying, it wasn't the best in the world. It wasn't the best Star Wars film, but it had a lot of personality to it, which I thought was pretty good. I actually didn't mind the love story between Anakin and Padme, even though I do think that Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman could have acted it a lot better if George Lucas's writing wouldn't have been so sloppy. But I actually didn't mind it. I didn't mind the writing. It's just that the acting is what brought it down for me slightly. But you had to have the love story. It could have been handled better, but it wasn't anything unbearable. It was still watchable. Then we have Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, which in my opinion, that would be the best of the prequels if it wasn't for Attack of the Clones. But I actually still like it because it did get boring at times, which is, points. All the prequels get boring at points, but Attack of the Clones was slightly saved from that by adding in to the boring moments insane stuff like younglings trying to become Padawans. What else? And just stuff like that, and also the unusual creatures. I forgot what they're called on the when Obi-Wan was on Camino. But yeah, I actually think the Star Wars prequels are underrated. They're not the best in the world, but they're certainly not terrible. But anyway, Revenge of the Sith was good. I really enjoyed it. Sorry, I'm trying to process what to say here in my head. But yeah, so I really enjoyed Revenge of the Sith. It was, it was a great film. It was good popcorn entertainment, but once again, it's not as good as the prequels. And to be honest, I think the only Star Wars film it tops is The Phantom Menace. But it does have, in my opinion, the best lightsaber fight in the history of Star Wars, which is obviously Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's just because, the other two films before that, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and I guess you could say the original trilogy as well, were really building up to that, which is, and then they gave it a great big climax, which was pretty darn awesome. It was a very satisfying end. to the prequels. Even though it did have some plot holes, but you know, it was still good entertainment. That's what I call it, good entertainment. The Clone Wars. I'm not gonna go into my into detail my opinion on that because I'm trying to say that from when I get to Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars. But in my opinion, no, I might as well give my opinion on the Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie. In my opinion, it was a good watch. It's definitely the weakest out of all the 7 Star Wars movies made thus far, not counting the sequel trilogy, episodes 7 through 9. Which will be, yes. Which I'm really looking forward to, even though I'm worried that about Disney doing it because, you know, Star Wars is easy to screw up, but anyway. I still liked Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I know a lot of people said, you know, like a lot of critics panned it by saying that you know how people talked about the prequel trilogy like it, you know, it was the worst thing in the world when it really wasn't that bad, or the Clone Wars is that bad. In all honesty, I actually thought I'm slightly tempted to say that the Clone Wars was better than the Phantom Menace, but I don't think so. Sorry, that was my phone. Yeah, I actually don't think so. But it was still good kids' entertainment, you know. It wasn't the worst thing in to come out of Star Wars history. And it was certainly better than a lot of. It was certainly. I'd rather watch the Clone Wars than watching Jar Jar Binks talk for even a single second. So, yeah. I thought the Clone Wars was I know it was originally meant to be the first couple episodes of the TV series, but they decided to put it into a film, you know, to promote the TV series, to release in cinemas or theaters if you live in America. Which, you know, I don't think it should have been released in cinemas. I think that was the main weakness of the film, which is what a lot of people think, because it didn't have the original voice cast for one. You know, the only reprising roles were actually were Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, and last but not least, Christopher Lee as Count Dooku. Although it was still pretty good entertainment, I really enjoyed it. And, you know, I think you should like it just as much as me because I'm right. Nah, I'm only joking. You can all have your own opinion. But, yes, anyway. Yeah, I was talking about the Clone Wars movie, but, yeah, speaking of Star Wars, so the Clone Wars has been cancelled, which is a shame. Now that Disney have the rights to Star Wars, they cancelled Star Wars: The Clone Wars for some reason, which I really can't understand why. But you know, I suppose it is just to focus on the sequel trilogy, episodes 7 through 9. Episode 7 through 9, to be honest, I don't think should really be happening. I'm saying that because I think Return of the Jedi Episode 6 was a more than satisfying end to the Star Wars saga, and you know I just don't know how they could continue on with it unless they, you know, invented an original plot which, you know, took place years after Return of the Jedi, with, you know, a new emperor and everything. But apparently, from what I've heard, the emperor is coming back for Episode 7. Which, to be honest, I'm slightly disappointed to hear that, because I really would have liked to have seen a new villain for episodes 7 through 9, the sequel trilogy. But, you know, I suppose we'll live with it, just as long as I don't ruin the character. because one thing I didn't mention about the prequel trilogy actually though is that it was kind of ruined with a very I mean the cast was good, but with some very bland characters. The characters were bland, like Anakin was bland, Padme was bland. Who else? I think, yeah, I Qui-Gon wasn't bland. Obi-Wan, not so much. Mace Windu, I think, could have done with a little more character exploration, and because it felt just as though he was there to be a badass. Count Dooku, I think, was a little bit bland. I mean, I know he was given some backstory, but still, I would have preferred it if we would have seen more of him in not just action sequences. But I get that the prequel trilogy was for a new, younger generation of kids, which I can understand. But still, the original trilogy will always be better, and just as long as the Star Wars, in my opinion, it's really easy to screw up because one little tiny mistake and you're gone. But I'm glad they got J.J. Abrams to direct Episode 7 because he is a great director. He directed my second favorite movie of all time, Super 8. That was my favorite movie until I saw Pacific Rim. So yeah. Anyway, come to the end of another level, and I didn't explain what we were doing there because I was rambling on about the Star Wars films and my opinions on them. So that's one topic down. I don't know how many more I've got left. I think I might have a few more, but by the end of story mode, it's probably just going to be a very boring Let's Play because I'm eventually going to run out of things to say, which is a real shame if I do, but oh well. We locked a few new characters as well. We got Queen Amidala and Captain Panika. The True Jedi, which I believe we need 44,000 for that, 46,000, maybe 47,000. I don't know. I'm gonna skip all this. 2 out of 10 mini kits, abysmal. Doesn't matter. Right, so that's 6 out of 160 gold bricks there. And before we end this, we're gonna move on and enter the prologue for the next level. Here we are. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Chapter 4, Mos Espa Pod Race. Queen Amidala and her Jedi protectors have fled Naboo. Heading for Coruscant, they plan to inform the Galactic Senate of the Trade Federation invasion. However, Royal Starship's hyperdrive is damaged in the escape, and they have been forced to land on the remote planet of Tatooine for repairs. I'm tempted to do it, in that voice that gives a plot. Sorry, not voice. That voice that gives the plot summary on the Clone Wars, but we're not in the Clone Wars, so yeah, might do it first. Oh dear. Right, so we need to go and go and get a new hyperdrive generator or whatever it's called. $500. Ah, crap. Oh, but wait. Pod race. I hope they're not dead yet. Right then, okay. So, will we win the pod race? You can find out next time on Let's Play Lego Star Wars: A Complete Saga. So, that's going to be that for now. This is Mr. Crazy Gamer 13 saying word out. Join me on part 3 of Let's Play, Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga.